Okay, so we've got another MTG Arena Singleton deck for the Storm the Citadel event here. Just brewed it up. It's Azorius Planeswalkers, kind of Azorius mid-rangey control. Again, it's hard to put it into one of those boxes because it's just a mash together of all the mid-range Azorius cards and some Planeswalkers and some powerful instants and sorceries. So the 2-drops, Tocatli Honor Guard, it's got the ability to shut down triggers on cards like Jade like Ranger, Merfolk Branchwalker, Fibblethip, because why wouldn't you be playing Fibblethip? The legendary Homunculus that we all know and love. Baffling End and Seal Away both deal with creatures in the 2-mana slot. Essence Scatter again counters opposing creatures. Search for Azcanto, we have a lot of non-creature spells in the deck. Lets us fix our draws. Lets us in the late game start drawing lots of cards off it. Dovin's Veto, the Azorius Negate. I wanted one instance of that effect in the deck, and with the mana we're playing, Veto is probably fine. Resplendent Angel never really saw much play, but it's got a good rate in terms of being a 3/3 flyer for 3, and sometimes it just goes off. Deputy of Detention, again, more removal on a body. We have Prison Realm as well, to go with the Baffling End Seal Aways, and in the 4-mana slot we have a couple more boxes for our opponent's creatures. Gideon Blackblade, Planeswalker creature, does an awful lot, eventually can exile opponents as well. Narset stops our opponents drawing extra cards, finds us the cards we're looking for. We've got one Absorb, one Sinister Sabotage again, just to give us some interaction with our opponent. They're not going to know quite what we're holding our mana up for. Is it going to be a counter? Is it going to be a card draw spell? So I like having that flexibility. We have 2 3-drop Planeswalkers in the form of Dovin, Grand Arbiter, and the currently ubiquitous in Standard Teferi Time Raveler. The 4-drop slots, we got Spark Double. What's better than one Planeswalker? 2 copies of that Planeswalker. God Eternal Kefnet, kind of like Resplendent Angel. I just want to play the card. And the rate you get, a 4/5 flying for 4, is already pretty good. Eternal Guardmage replaces itself, gains some life, draws a card, everything you want a creature to do. We mentioned we've got some other removal in the form of Cage and Ixalan's Binding already. Settle the Wreckage, get your opponents. Again, instant speed interaction, sweeps the board, good way to stabilize before deploying some Planeswalkers. Chemist's Insight, gets to draw you some cards. It's fallen out of favor in Standard, with Teferi making you operate at sorcery speed, but we don't really have much of that problem when our opponents are going to have 1 Teferi at most. Kasmina makes tokens, has incredible art. Look at that stained glass style, fantastic. Same with Jace, Wielder of Mysteries. We're in Singleton, so we get to go slightly lower down the list of cards that you'd be looking to play, and I think in a deck with mana like this, Jace is still viable. Angel of Grace, large flyer, it's got flash, so lets us play at instant speed. It does have the Angel's Grace kind of text on it, stopping us losing the game, so that's a surprise swing there. And it has utility from the graveyard as well. Lyra, just a large body, lots of keywords, very powerful mid-range threat. We have an awful lot of legends in this deck, surprisingly, because there's not really any downside, but you can only play one of them anyway. So Urza's Ruinous Blast seemed like a fun thing to try. We've got Cleansing Nova as well, and Time Wipe for 3 Wraths in all. Precognitive Perception lets us draw some cards. If we addendum it, we get some scries as well. Teferi, Hero of Dominaria, you'd probably be surprised if the deck wasn't playing him, but we also get to play Tezzeret, Artifice Master, who's pretty good at starting to churn out a stream of 1/1 Thopters, and eventually accruing card advantage if you're already in a stable position. The 6s we're playing, we have Azor the Lawbringer, the Sphinx with Sphinx's Rev stapled on when it attacks. Commence the endgame as some more card drawn can create a larger mass token to threaten the end of the game. And River's Rebuke, when you just need to reset the board and sort of start again if the opponent's too far ahead and you want to start spending equal amounts of mana in the late game while they have to then redevelop, you get to deploy as well. And it can make a position where you're behind into one where you're both kind of playing into each other. So we'll play some games with the deck. We'll put one immediately after this, but hopefully you enjoy Azorius Planeswalkers mid-rangey control. Okay, so we're going to get some games in with blue-white control. Let's see who our first opponent is. Waiting in the queue. It should be plenty of opponents. It's still Friday night. Our first opponent is going to be Alto SX with his Tezzeret avatar. Our Ajani doesn't really let the opponent know what we're doing. So what do we have here? Essence Scatter, Lyra Dawnbringer, Urza's Ruinous Blast, 4 lands, even with the London Mulligan. I think that's a definite keep. We have a game plan. Opponent plays a forest. I suppose there's no reason to make Glacial Fortress. We'll make an island and pass. We'll see what our opponent wants to be doing here. They play a second forest, likely on mono green. That Druid of the Cowl definitely suggests that as well. Drawing that absorbs pretty fantastic. We get to Essence Scatter most of the things they could be looking to do here. Can't Essence Scatter Guardian Project, but Ruinous Blast will end up catching that. And we've drawn the 5th land as well. As far as I'm aware, aside from Vivian Reed, the deck can't really interact with Lyra Dawnbringer. And there's the Vivian Reed, and she just got absorbed. So that's a fantastic start to proceedings. Tocatli Honor Guard. I think we're not going to run it out, given our plan is to probably Ruinous Blast at some point in this game. Although, it would shut down the Guardian Project. Ooh, Field of Ruin. That's a nice one. It has to enter the battlefield to draw a card, right? I still think that's fine. I still think that's fine for our opponent. What's next? Thrashing Brontodon. Thrashing Brontodon can also resolve. I'm very glad that that Vivian Reed did get cast into our Absorb, though. Otherwise, we could have some real problems. Okay, so we've drawn Time Wipe. That's interesting. I think we're still going to just cast Lyra Dawnbringer here. We want to start pressuring our opponent, going from there. And that's a pretty sweet stained glass little animation. If opponent Field of Ruins our Glacial Fortress, we will go for Basic Island. Carnage Tyrant is fantastic for us to see, even if opponent draws a card. Which I never thought I'd say. We'll play a tapped Azorius Guildgate. Urza's Ruinous Blast will clear our opponent's side of the board. And our opponent will concede to that. Fantastic. Well, that went just according to plan, didn't it? Hope you enjoyed that game with the deck. There'll be some more being played on my stream, most likely Friday evening, perhaps Saturday as well this week. But otherwise, you can check out the VODs or live at the link below. If you did enjoy the video, please subscribe. And I'll see you next time.